Hello. Do I need to re-say that? Do I need to repeat it? Please. Okay. We're going to call this meeting to order at 6:06 p.m. And first thing on our agenda, we're going to swear in Crystal Sarmiento for place 1 and Matt Lawson for place 4.
And I am here to do the swearing in. So good evening, committee members. It's an honor to be here, privileged to swear you guys in. You guys don't meet often, but when you do meet, it's important. When I get asked, what do I see over the next 50 years? What are some of the top issues that local cities are going to face? Infrastructure is one of them. What we're building now with the rapid growth we're seeing in Texas, that's what our kids and our grandkids are going to be left to maintain, improve, and replace. So the decisions we make today is either going to set them up for success and failure, and you guys are a big part of that. So it's a privilege to swear you in, Crystal, and swear you in, Matt. If I could have both of you please stand and raise your right hands. And you guys are going to repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Matthew Lawson,
Crystal Sarmiento,
Do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of the Capital Improvements Advisory Committee
of the Capital Improvements Advisory
of the City of Manvel
Committee of the City of Manvel,
of the City of Manvel,
of the State of Texas,
of the State of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and the Charter
and the Charter
and the ordinances
and the ordinance
of this city.
of the city.
So help me God.
So help me Jesus Christ.
There you go. Congratulations, guys. That's it. You can sit down.
There's power in his name.
All right. We're going to call to order Crystal Sarmiento. Here. Are you here?
I'm here.
Keitha Davenport.
Here.
Jason Holscher is not here. Matt Lawson.
here.
And I am here. Okay, pledges. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. All right, I've done that. All right, do we have any public comments today? Any public comments? No public comments. Okay. Next, we'll move on to the consent agenda, acceptance of meeting minutes to date. Do I have a motion?
I move a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, that's you. Oh, now I take a vote, right? All in favor of accepting the meeting minutes? And it's unanimous. All right, regular agenda, presentation by Baker Tilly on the City of Manvel water and wastewater impact fees, audit report. Do we have? Oh, okay.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I'm going to try to share my screen here. And everyone see the presentation that's up? Oh, there it goes. Looks like I can see it on that TV in front of me. So again, thanks for having me tonight. I wanted to go over the water and wastewater impact fee agreed upon procedure that we did for the city. So I'm Justin Hoagland. I'm a principal at Baker Tilly, and I'm out of our state and local government groups. All I do is work with municipalities. And since these new audit standards have come effective last September 1st, I've done or have been engaged to complete around a dozen or so of these agreed upon procedures for municipalities in Texas. So, and feel free to stop me if you do have any questions But it's a pretty quick presentation, and I'll certainly be open to questions at the end. But, first is, why am I even here, right? Why am I giving this presentation? So essentially, Texas Senate Bill 1883 amended Section 395 of the Local Government Code, like I said, effective last September 1st. And essentially it said, before a municipality can either increase existing impact fees or adopt a new impact fee, you first need to have an independent financial audit of essentially your impact fees that you've been collecting. So within the legislation, it kind of lists out, here's the 10 things that we want that CPA to look at, right? A lot of it's the collection of impact fees, the disbursement, where your current projects are at, interest income, waivers, refunds, and credits. Those are the main items that they kind of listed out and said, hey, here's what we want that CPA to look at. And so how we always do these engagements are, it's called agreed upon procedures, where essentially we looked at the legislation and said, look at these 10 things. We develop procedures to kind of then cover those items listed out in the legislation. And so our period of testing was between October 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2024. So essentially covered 3 fiscal years. We went through September 30th, 2024, because that was your most recently issued financial statement audit when we started this process. And so a lot of our testing related to tying numbers out to your audited financial statements, kind of relying on what was completed there already. And so that's why it went through September 30th, 2024. But again, that period of testing essentially covered the report of your last impact fee update, which was done in 2021 for the water and wastewater impact fees. And so, if you look at the actual agreed upon procedures, that was the report that was issued. Again, it's not a big report, it's probably 7 or 8 pages or so. It kind of lists out, hey, here's the procedures we performed, and here's the results of those procedures. So we did have 2 findings as part of our testing. And I will say, again, we've issued quite a few of these. I don't think we've had one yet that we haven't had a finding on. And I wouldn't classify either of these findings as being, large or super material. But I wanted to go over each finding with you. So the first finding we had is, again, like I said, we did test the money, right, that came in, right? We took a sample of your permits that have been listed or that have been paid over the last, again, those 3 fiscal years that we were testing, to make sure, that the right amounts are being charged and everything like that. And so there were, again, 3 out of the 5 permits that we selected were charged a rate that did not match the rates that were approved by the ordinance that was passed back in 2021, kind of saying, here's how much you can charge for these impact fees. And that was because the ordinance was based off of a preliminary impact fee schedule, a draft, and not the actual final one that was approved by city ordinance. So you can see that, the total of those 3 permits resulted in $20 undercharge happening. Again, very small amount, but there is no materiality in these agreed upon procedures. So if something's $1 off, we do have to mention it. And I think that was subsequently corrected, as you can see here in 2024, that error was caught that, that you were using the wrong kind of payment schedule. But again, it was very, very small differences between the draft schedule and what should have been adopted originally. The other finding is that no interest was being allocated to the impact fee funds. So per the legislation, if you have cash in those funds, they should be earning interest, and you should be recording the interest within the impact fee funds. And then that interest is subject to the same restrictions as the original impact fees that you've collected, right? So it has to be spent on allowable projects. And so, for a number of years there that we tested, interest was not being recorded within the impact fee funds themselves. However, again, it's our understanding, like it says here, that the city had already begun allocating interest to the impact fee funds. But again, for a period of testing, that was not originally done. So those were the two findings that we had in our report. And so here's just, again, this is all available within the report, but I just kind of wanted to show a very high level kind of summary of the 3 fiscal years that we tested, where it kind of shows, okay, here's the amount, right, that's being collected for water and wastewater impact fees, and here's the expenditures that those were spent on. So again, this is kind of a little bit more detail showing here's kind of the ending balances of kind of unspent cash that you had for those 3 fiscal years for water and wastewater. So you can see, at the end of 2024, you did have $3.6 million of unspent impact fee funds that could be used on future projects. Again, that was a little bit of a while ago now, so maybe a good chunk of that was spent, but you did have a decent amount of fees sitting there. And again, just a reminder, those do need to be spent within 10 years after you collect them. So just a couple other items I wanted to note. First is that you can use the impact fee money to pay for the services, the AUP services that we performed. You obviously are going through an update of your study right now for your impact fees. A reminder that those are required to be updated every 5 years. And kind of the last point here that I wanted to bring up was that, how it's currently done, or at least how it was done when we were testing your expenditures, is that the city would transfer money from the impact fee funds to the capital project fund to cover allowable expenses. However, the city wasn't tracking exactly what expenditures that those transfers were paying for, because usually there was let's say there's $1 million of expenditures that are allowable in the capital project fund. The city then would transfer over like 500,000. So always knowing that there was more expenditures there than the transfer, that, again, the city felt comfortable that, well, we know these are spent on allowable expenses because we're not even paying or transferring the full amount over. But you really should be able to decipher exactly what those transfers are covering. So again, that's just it's not a finding, it's more of a recommendation to make sure that you're tracking, here's exactly what these impact fee funds were spent on. So that's everything that I had from the report. Are there any questions for me?
Don't know even where to start. So much info. Okay, so
Here, I'll go first. I got just a couple questions.
For sure.
You mentioned 3 years prior that you reviewed. How come 2025 was not part of the review?
No, that's a good question.
Just a
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, is that Rosie?
Yes, it is. I can answer that. Technically, 2025 audit was not completed yet. So you can't really do it until your books are closed completely.
Okay,
And they only pick a period of 3 years to work with.
got it. Okay.
Yeah, nailed it, Rosie.
And then can you just walk me through, you mentioned, I thought I heard the state code requires an audit, but
Yep.
in the concluding paragraph, it says this is not an audit. So how do you square those?
Yep, no, that's a great question. Yeah, so essentially, hopefully this isn't too much information for you, but so essentially, back when these standards came out, back last September, we read it and we were like, it says an audit, but how the legislation is written, like, instantly we're like, this is not an audit. They want an agreed upon procedure done. you can't audit what they're saying they want done. Because in the accounting world, there's big differences between what's an audit, what's a review, what's an examination, what's a compilation, what's an agreed upon procedure. They're different things. And so, we feel like the agreed upon procedures meets the intent of the legislation. You can't really audit what they're saying they want an audit of. We've run across other examples and, over the last decades where, again, the legislators will say they want an audit done, not really knowing the implications of that word. And so what we, again, internally at Baker Tilly, we ran it through all of our compliance departments and leadership and said, nope, this really is agreed upon procedure. It's not an audit. It's very similar to what was done, a decade or so ago in Arizona, where Arizona, Arizona's the only other state that I know of that says you need to have an audit of your impact fees done. And so their legislation came out and said, you need to have a biannual audit done of your impact fees. And again, a decade or so ago, Baker Tilly and all the other accounting firms in Arizona said, no, this is not an audit. It says audit, but that's not what they want. And so for the last decade plus, they've always done agreed upon procedures. In Arizona, again, it's never been challenged, and that's what everyone does. And so it's a very similar situation here in Texas, where no one that I know of has ever done this as an audit. I've talked to multiple other firms, and they all do this work as agreed upon procedures. But that's a great question.
And if I may also say, we actually have an external auditor that does an audit of all our funds. It's not just the general fund, it does all our funds.
You have any
Those are great questions. Any other questions?
I'm trying to figure out where to start because there's a few different things here, and my understanding of what our impact fees are and so forth, just a kind of willy-nilly here. I do want to ask a couple questions about the ending attachments here. So if we are already in 2026 and we selected this 3-year review to do this, is this just to show that we were compliant in doing so? Because obviously, this is not something that we can implement today. And if I'm looking at these numbers, I would want to know where are we standing today with the numbers. And I can't really make
That
an
was my question.
determination because you don't have 2025 here. And so it's like, for me, this feels more like informational.
That was going to be
Am I wrong?
Well, that was going to be my question, because it says, consideration of possible action to move forward for favorable recommendation to city council, but what are we recommending?
Yeah.
That we agree the audit was done, or what decision?
What are we looking for here besides the findings? Okay, these were found, but yet they were rectified, correct? So they were rectified, and
That is
my
correct. We
understanding-
have corrected those. Actually, we had even corrected them prior to the audits.
Yeah, so, because I see here it says refunds, and then attachment where it shows refunds, where we started with 150,000, and then the refund of 105, so basically left less than $400, I guess, maybe?
Yeah.
If I do my math right? Head
And,
math?
and actually, those refunds were due to us charging impact fees to 2 large businesses that came into town that we should have not charged impact fees.
Because they're not supposed to be for commercial, rather residential.
No, these are commercial.
These are commercial.
Yeah, and you do charge commercial also the impact fees, but because of the development agreement that was in place for this area, we were not supposed to charge because they did all the construction of
Of
the,
that, who caught that?
infrastructure.
Was that the audit that caught that they
No.
would do the refunds, or was
No,
that?
that was already caught internally.
Internally.
Yes, and
Okay.
that was corrected within a month or so, but we have to still report the intake of the money
Yeah.
and the outtake, even though it was done within the same period.
And then I see a massive increase on the next year, so it goes from 150,000 to 1.3 million. So what is that? Why, was that because we adopted the new impact fees and so the rates went up, or?
No, it was
That's
because
significant.
that was the year that development started to boom, basically, in 2024. Prior to 2024, it was a very slow start. Then in 2024 is when we got the larger subdivisions coming in.
Like Del Bello and Valencia.
So
and
this
all that.
1.3
Meridiana,
million.
Yeah.
And then it shows attachment 5, total ending balance 3.5 million. So is this money today in this,
No, we spend it the following year.
okay, is
If
that
you
something we
notice-
approved to
Yes.
spend to cover something else
Yes, exactly. We move it into the capital funds and we spend it on
then we
the
spend it
water
in
and
those-
sewer projects.
during the budget? Okay. Okay.
And just to, to get back to like your original question,
Like where?
to the best of my understanding, kind of the whole intent of this, right? Why does this have to be done? Is likely the developers, lobbied to have this done because what they want to know is, okay, before a municipality is going to either increase impact fees or adopt new impact fees, they want to make sure that you're accounting for it appropriately, right?
Yeah.
And so if we do these procedures and you have 10 findings, you're not spending it how you should be spending it, you're spending it on unallowable projects, you're not tracking it the way you're supposed to be tracking it per the legislation, that would then maybe lead your committee to say, do we really want or should we be adopting new impact fees if we're not appropriately handling the impact fees that we already have? So that's the main intent of this, to make sure that,
Accountability.
yep, we're following the legislation for the periods we tested, everything looks good, we feel comfortable increasing or adopting new impact fees.
Okay. Well, I think I rest my case then. I have my questions answered. But ultimately, so this is a formality, it seems like. We went ahead, we had the audit done, the findings were presented to us, and then now we decide, is this worth submitting to council? But then if it does go to council, then what are we looking for? Are we looking for them to provide action on this recommendation, or is it just informational purposes?
Technically, under the legislation, there's no action. It just, by law, it has to be submitted to both the committee and council, submitted.
Submitted.
And along with that,
formality.
as Ms. Rugland
Okay.
was saying, we have to put it on the website, and there has to be a public hearing about it so that the public can see, hey, this is our report card, how are you doing? Before you go and raise them, let's see how you were doing. So we're required to have that report card, I guess.
Okay.
And it has to be submitted. It doesn't really have to be approved, but
Yeah.
we are going through what the state law requires before attempting to present an increase.
Okay.
So.
Well,
Checks and balances, I like it.
I like it.
Yeah, I love the report card terminology, I'm going
too.
to use that
That's a
going
good
forward.
one, yeah.
Report card, scorecard, yes.
All right.
Okay, well, I'm good if we submit this, if we make a motion to submit it to council for them to have it, and we went over it and asked a question so that they can decide if there's the decision to raise impact fees, which
So you're making a motion to
I make a motion
approve
to
to,
approve, to submit
with
this.
favorable recommendation to council?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Okay, unanimous.
Easy, getting it done.
All right, next.
Thank you so
We've
much.
got,
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Appreciate you.
all right, next we've got a presentation on the update to the land use assumptions, capital improvements plans, and impact fee calculations for water and wastewater systems. Hello? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't think it's
Not
on.
on.
We can hear you, but not through.
Okay. Now I'll be louder. Good evening, members of the advisory committee. My name is Ishita Rahman. I'm with Friesen Nichols. We are assisting the city with the update of the water and wastewater impact fee study, and I'm here today to give you a summary of the findings of the study. And I'll go ahead and change the slide. There you go. So the goal of this study is to calculate the maximum allowable water and wastewater impact fee based on the Texas Local Government Code Chapter 395 regulations and the best available information that we have on the city system. And you, as the advisory committee, would provide your recommendation to the city council on what the collection rates should be. And then council would go through the rest of the processes, which includes public hearing and display of the report, and then decide on the final make the final decision on what the collection rates are. So today's presentation is to give you an update, that summary, and I'll also start with some basics of the impact fee just as a refresher. Feel free to stop me if you have any questions at all as I go through the presentation.
Let me ask a question real quick. Is this being streamed for the public? Okay, that's good to know. Thank
Okay,
you.
awesome. Not having luck with the,
Oh,
oh,
there we go.
that worked too well. There you go. So we'll start with what is an impact fee. So it is a one-time fee addressed to new development for the portion of costs related to the specific capital improvements. So to break it down, it's not like a water wastewater rate that gets paid every month. It's just a one-time fee that the new development will pay. And the fee will not include everything in the capital improvement plan. It will only be the portion that is attributable to new growth in the next 10-year plan period. And we go through the calculation to make sure that it is that we're only looking at the 10-year growth period for the new that is related to capital improvement plans. And it can be for water, wastewater, and the city is also looking into a roadway impact fee, and there's another item to talk about that. But this presentation is focused on water and wastewater. So the basic question is, how do we pay for the infrastructure? All of the water and wastewater improvement that you need to do, the city needs to do, costs some money. It can come from the utility rates, the water and wastewater rates, and then if there is impact fee, that helps with paying towards the capital improvement cost. So if there's no impact fee, everything is coming from rates. If there is impact fee, then there's additional help, so the rates don't have to go up as much as it would without the impact fees. So it's a mechanism for growth to pay for its share of growth. It's governed by the Texas Local Government Code, Chapter 395. The state law requires that the impact fees are updated every 5 years. That's exactly what Justin was saying as well. And with the new regulations, there has been some updates to the regulations last year in September, which also assigns that you cannot increase the impact fee within the 3-year period. So after this study, if council decides to increase the impact fee, you have to wait at least 3 more years to make another change. And this is a way for the city to recoup cost associated with infrastructure that is paying, that's helping serve the growth.
A quick question.
Mm-hmm.
If it's every 5 years, why do you look at 10-year increments?
That's a very good question. That is what the local government code wants us to look at. And we are, so it is kind of a little harder to assume what will happen in the 5-year, what will happen in the 10-year. I assume that's why it probably asked us to look at 10-year, but that's what the rules require, to look at the 10-year.
Okay.
Then looking at what is eligible for impact fee and what's not. Only the portion of the capital improvement plans that is serving future growth in the 10-year period are eligible for impact fees. It could be a recently completed project or the project that is under design, under construction by the city, that's the city is paying towards, that has available capacity that can serve the next 10 years growth. That portion can also be impact fee eligible. And costs associated with engineering, survey, or debt service, and also the study, the audit that was performed, it can be paid with impact fee dollars. What cannot be paid with impact fee is anything that is needed to be done to serve existing users in the system, or a maintenance, like an O&M cost, or administrative fee on administering the impact fees, or anything that's debt service but not related to the impact fee CIP. And also to mention here, a project that is not in the impact fee CIP cannot be paid through impact fee dollars. As the Capital Improvement Advisory Committee, during the impact fee study, your role is to receive this input on the land use assumption and the capital improvement plan and the impact fee calculation, and then provide your comments to the city council on what you think about the study and what you think the collection rate should be. And after the impact fee is adopted, and many of you have been through this process before, there is a requirement to file semi-annual reports where you look at how the city is administering the impact fee, if the dollars are being collected correctly and applied to the correct projects. And then if you see there's a need for update to the study sooner, so earlier than 5 years, then you can recommend that to the council.
Quick question. The impact fee reduces the taxpayer burden, correct?
Ratepayer, I'd
Or,
say. Yeah.
sorry, yes,
Yes, that's correct.
thank you.
So this is a simplified equation we're showing on how the impact fees are calculated. So impact fees, we're calculating impact fees by equivalent single-family connections. We'll take all of the eligible cost of the impact fee CIP, and I'll show in the future slides on how we are getting towards that. And then we're subtracting a rate credit, and then dividing the total amount with the service unit growth. So going through each of these items, and feel free to ask me as many times as you need to get clarification on this. So the equivalent single-family connection is basically your 3/4-inch meters. That is what most single-family connections most commonly use. So a larger meter would be calculated into equivalent of that single-family meter. The eligible CIP cost is the portion of the CIP project cost that is related to growth, and also we can include the debt service cost into that. And the rate credit is, there's two options that Chapter 395 has for rate credits. So you can either do a more detailed calculation to identify the rate credits based on the current utility bills applied towards the impact fee CIP projects, or there's a simplified version where the local government code says if you don't want to go through that effort, you can just cut the total eligible cost by half, like take a 50% credit. And then the growth in service unit is basically the ESFC growth in the 10-year planning period. So one thing to note here on the rate credit is the council directed us to use, and the city staff directed us to use the method of more detailed calculation of rate credit. When we had adopted the 2021 impact fee, the council has adopted the 2021 impact fees. At that point, it was a 50% rate credit that was applied. So you would see a change in the calculated maximum allowable impact fee. A portion of it is coming from all the increase in cost of everything, and then the other portion is also coming from this rate credit methodology. Both are approved by the Texas Local Government Code. One is a little more detailed, one is a more simplified, but also a more conservative credit. So that is the portion that's taken out of the impact fee calculation. This is your existing impact fee per the ordinance that was adopted in October of 2021. And it's showing the impact fee schedule. The total water and wastewater impact fee for a 3/4-inch meter currently is $9,548. And then as the meter sizes grow up, it is a multiplier of that number.
Is this one house?
Yes, one house, yes.
Have to invest in for every home.
Every house.
So, for example, is this just for large development, or is this what an individual would pay if they were building on their own acreage?
Yeah, it is for all new development.
So somebody buying 2 acres in Manvel with a custom home builder has to pay the city $9,548? Right, but like, for example, for me, I have city water, but I have a septic. And I remember paying like an $1,800 impact fee when I was building.
Yeah.
And that was only 7 years
Yeah.
ago. So I'm just kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
So,
And if you have just water and no wastewater, you pay the water impact fee only.
oh, I see. Okay, I got you.
They're calculated separately and they are tracked separately as well. The collected water impact fee only gets to be spent on water CIP projects.
Okay. I see what you're saying now. So I guess it's not that far off than what I paid 7 years ago. Okay, that's not as scary then. So it's really only if you have full city services. That makes sense. Okay, sorry, I just had to talk it out.
Right, those are really good questions. So let me get through this. With the impact fee process, I'm glad we had the financial audit at the top because you just went through that. So that's one requirement that needs to be completed. And then during the process, we develop a 10-year land use assumptions, 10-year CIP, identification of 10-year CIP projects that will serve all that growth, and then calculate the impact fee, maximum allowable water and wastewater impact fee, and then have a workshop with the advisory committee, which we're having today. And based off of that, you will provide your recommendation. And then after that, there's a requirement of display of the report for 60 days, advertisement for a public hearing for 30 days, and a public hearing, and then council's process of reading of the ordinance for adoption.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. It's a process. Yes, definitely a process.
My council hat on, so it's,
Yeah, it's some
and
work.
taxpayer, and developer sensitive, and growth sensitive, and
Yep.
all the things is so
It's a balancing
much to
act.
weigh. I
Yes.
hope y'all weren't planning to go home soon.
Hey,
I'm kidding.
that Diet Coke.
Tammy's like, really, Crystal? Just kidding.
Okay, so on the land use assumptions, so as part of the land use assumptions, we delineate the water and wastewater impact fee eligible service areas first, and then calculate the existing equivalent single-family connections, or ESFCs. And we also looked at the reservations the city has with the development agreements that are currently in place. And then projected the 10-year growth in ESFCs based on planned, approved, or currently ongoing developments, and then input from the city's planning department. And then calculated the 10-year growth in service unit basically by subtracting the two numbers. And during this process, we used the future land use plan that's recently been adopted, and understanding of anticipated future growth and development. And a little more understanding on the equivalencies. Hopefully you find this helpful. So we talked about the unit meters, which are the 3/4-inch meters in Manvel. So those get the service unit equivalency of 1. For example, if a shopping complex comes in and they want a 2-inch meter, based on this table, which we are calculating using the safe maximum operating capacity of each meter size that the city uses, a 2-inch meter is equivalent to 5.3 single-family meters. So when the impact fees are calculated for that 2-inch meter, they get that 5.3 multiplier applied to the meter size, because that is how much more impact they have on the system.
When who, you said?
When a 2-inch meter is requested by a development.
Okay, by development, okay. So that could be commercial, that could be
Yes.
anything. So
Yeah.
when they request this is how we calculate that, is every 2 inches is equivalent to 5 single-family homes.
That's exactly right, yeah.
Okay.
And just so I understand, so usually the ones that are over the 3/4 inch, is that primarily commercial?
It could, I would see commercial multifamilies sometimes would have larger meters, maybe like a 6-inch, 8-inch meter. There are some residential meters that could be more than 3/4 inch, right? But in general, residential is 3/4 inch.
Yeah, so the vast majority, so to put the 2-inch, to put it in context, that's about 60 grand that a business would need to pay right up front.
That's
If they
correct.
needed a 2-inch meter, okay.
Yeah.
So the cost of business, that's the cost. for a-
Yeah, and it is calculated based on the meter spec operating capacity. So a 3/4 inch meter would not be able to use that much of water as a 2-inch meter would be used. So hopefully the business is requesting the meter that size they actually need and not something bigger.
Okay.
So going into more of those, the summary, on the impact fee service area for water, it is more essentially the city limits any portion of the ETJ, excluding the muds that are, the existing muds that are currently not served by the city. And on the wastewater side, the service area is, with this update, is the east side of the Highway 288 and north of the railway track, mainly because that's where the city's current and 10-year, next 10 years plans infrastructure is. So there's not an opportunity to serve beyond that area at this time. So with those calculations of the service area and the ESFCs that I had mentioned earlier, the 10-year growth in ESFCs for water is just over 7,000, or just about 7,300 ESFCs, and then for wastewater is close to 5,200 ESFCs.
So that's one thing, for me, this is probably one of the most important slides. So just so I understand, you're saying in the next 10 years, 7,000, and we'll put it in single-family homes, 7,000 homes will be built in Manvel.
Yep. According to our projected,
So, and as a developer, I struggle with that,
because you want more.
because there's no way I could do that many in 10 years for the city. I'll put it in context. Meridiana has just under 7,000 homes, and it's going to take 20 years to build 7,000. Now, I take it as a whole city, so I'm trying to understand, there's a lot of land that is not desirable, that there's prime development. So how do you come up with 7,000 homes in a 10-year period?
That's a good question.
That's a great question. In your packet, we should have the report. In our report, we have an appendix that shows how we calculated the growth projections in ESFCs. So we also looked at the floodplain and undevelopable land, and very small portion is coming from outside of known developments. So it's taking into account the developments such as where we were talking about in the eastern side of the city, new developments wanting to come in, and they had submitted a plan. So we used that plan and understanding of what council was recommending and the planning department was recommending, and calculated ESFCs based off of that. Or the Presidio development that had the plan approved. So we used that ESFC's calculation based off of that.
So would this calculation not significantly mean, or specifically mean 7,000 homes, but it could be the math of the 2-inch water meters for commercial development that are coming in that entire Target and MD Anderson and all those things that are coming on 288. So that math would equate to this, but not necessarily mean single-family homes.
That's exactly right, yes.
Okay, that would make more sense, because like he said, it's, the development part of things is difficult, and council says no to a lot when it comes to certain developments.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So I was giving the example of the Presidio development. They also have some certain land that is allocated for commercial. So for that, we assumed the commercial growth and applied a larger ESFC for that area.
But, and I looked at the table, and that's where I struggle is because, Presidio is, to put in context, Presidio has been approved since 2007. So in this report, it assumes that it's moving forward with 1,000 equivalent homes in the next 10 years. What happens if it doesn't? How does it affect all these numbers?
They just don't get collected.
Yeah, they just don't get
But
collected.
the fees, all the other developers have to pay that higher fee based on them, based on this assumption, right?
So if we had assumed that growth so going back to,
Or would it
here.
be less because we're calculating a higher number? So if we were calculating a higher
'cause they're
number,
counting on that
then the
money.
developer would, the way, in my mind, I'm thinking is it would be shared across instead of, now if it doesn't, then what if they go back and say, you owe us more?
So, because the other part to this, there's the land use side, and then there's the capital improvement.
Yeah.
And so they're assuming those 1,000 units are built,
Yeah,
and the required infrastructure is
for
built.
that.
And the cost is then in, and that's, so if it doesn't get built, what happens?
Yeah.
That's a great
So
question.
that's a great question, and kind of, I'm going back to the equation that we were showing earlier. So because we are taking the eligible portion of the CIP cost, the growth that we're assuming, so including that 1,000 ESFCs that we're assuming, goes in the calculation of finding the eligible CIP. So if those are not happening, the eligible CIP cost also shrinks, and your numerator goes down and your denominator goes down
At the 5-year mark, or
at the 10-year.
so 10 years from now?
No,
Every 5 years, right?
so in the calculation of, we are looking at 10 years in CIP. We're also looking at 10 years of growth. We're taking 10 years of eligible CIP based on that same growth. So if your growth is different, it goes away from the numerator and also the denominator. So by calculation, it stays consistent. So if we're over-predicting, we are over-predicting on both numerator and denominator, and should cancel out.
But when does that get rectified? At the end of the 10 years?
Well,
It
it
will
can be
get
reevaluated
with every update.
Every 5 years?
Yeah.
Not necessary, Matt, look at it this way. The more growth you have, the more infrastructure you need. The less growth you have, the less infrastructure. So of course, we're collecting as the infrastructure is needed and the cost of the infrastructure at that point.
No, absolutely. I'm just, so I want to see the best for Manvel. Don't you? I worry, especially, I picked out Presidio for a reason. I want to see the best commercial development happen there. But some of the fees will drive away some because the cost of business. And so fine tuning these numbers is going to be very, very important. To attract the best, we got to provide them.
And I agree with you, because that's been a big hurdle that Manvel has suffered with for so long, is how do we attract decent businesses? And I've sat here with businesses that want to come, like, how do you know you're going to be in business in 3 years?
Yeah.
You know, and so we want to be a good partner to the community, but be responsible
Absolutely.
in these fees so that we don't, at the cost of them coming and bringing in a lot of business, we don't build for the homes in Meridiana and in Valencia so that they don't flood and they don't have adequate infrastructure. So, and at the same time, considering our taxpayers so that it is lucrative to come here. So I totally get it. I just think that
Yeah.
it's tricky because we want Target, we want those people to come, because then that means more sales for you guys
Yep.
and for you, right? Like, people want to move here. It's that tricky balance. And so I love your perspective as the developer and the side of business, because it helps us
Yeah.
balance that.
Yeah.
I mean, I
So-
totally understand that, but I'm also a very big proponent of keeping a certain level of rural integrity in Manvel. So if you make it too easy, then you're just going to have all these
Absolutely.
cookie cutter. No
That's
offense, y'all
true.
are not. Y'all have
No,
wonderful
absolute- no,
developments. I love y'all. Just you know,
Yeah,
so it's a very hard thing to balance. So.
it
No.
is.
Yeah. Which is exactly why there's a combination of you in this room.
This is why we need all these perspectives.
Yeah. So kind of going back to the
gonna say something,
equation
Jose?
calculation part of it. Oh, go ahead, Joe.
I'm just so used to looking at him and knowing he's about to
Y'all
fire
have
off.
covered everything that I was thinking, but it goes back to that original question where you were asking, why do we look at 10 years, but we update every 5 years?
Yeah.
Of course, it's a checkbox from state, but it also addresses the issue that we are talking about. We project for 10 years, see how it goes, but at the half-year mark, you
There's
get to
accountability.
update it.
Evaluate.
If it doesn't work, you again, you work the whole thing. And like Ishita mentioned, the numerator, denominator both go hand in hand. If something's over-projected, it's not necessarily impacting.
Yeah.
So,
Construction.
Exactly.
So the projects that are on the list and the estimate, like after COVID, when
trying to get for $1 million project would cost $2 million. So that constant revision every 5 years at least is helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think 5 years is enough, or should it be less?
You know, so
perspective.
yeah, from my perspective, I think less would be better from the because things change so much, and you look, you know, that's a prime example. Peak inflation happened in 2022. You know, and so we've seen things come down to a certain extent, believe it or not.
Even with the tariffs, you're the first I've heard say that.
So there's some things that you look at 2022 numbers, and you look at some of the even some of the costs in here I looked at, they've dropped from some of the estimates and actuals. So 3 years is better than 5 than 10 because things do change.
Yeah.
They do, and it provides a little more certainty. Because to project 10 years out, I always use my children as an example.
Yeah.
What are my children going to be when they're from 0 to 10? What are they going to look like and be? I have no idea.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, that came
Not
out
that I want to
loud.
meet every 2 years, but I think.
No, I'm kind of with you in the fact that, is the 5-year a state requirement, or is that something city can adopt, is to look at
At
the
least
impact
5
fees
years
every
is the
3?
state requirement to look at your CIP and land use assumption.
At minimum,
At minimum, yes.
but it can be done every 3?
It can be done every 3, yeah.
I mean, I think that's,
Reminder, the cost of these.
Of course, there's a cost, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
these firms love to price
Yeah.
gouge, to throw some AI numbers together. Not saying that's not intended for you. I have clients that use auditing firms, and I'm just like, wow, I'm in the wrong business.
And-
Anyway, okay.
And also, I mean, you can project the most perfect and most accurate number,
You
but
never
then
know.
decision makers change every
That's right.
so many years.
Yeah.
Projections
And
are
the
projections.
council changes, boards change, members change, so that also has.
That's exactly right, yeah.
So
Yeah.
that could hurt you.
It goes both
Depending
ways,
on
right?
council.
But I
Yeah.
think it's it's the same reason why we all do annual budgets, right?
Yeah.
Is this our crystal ball gets more and more fuzzy as it goes further out, right?
Yeah, that's
You know,
absolutely
so
right.
I'm not trying to create more work, but I am trying to create more certainty
Yeah.
for the future of Manvel. That I really see businesses. There's an opportunity to come here. These kinds of things are one of the data points they look at.
And this is exactly why council, I feel like, needs to know, what does it take to attract a solid business,
Yeah.
not just some guy that wants to open up
Yep.
just a small thing that doesn't have proof of concept, doesn't have the money, all the things. And so I'm always on point when it's like, well, who are we attracting, and are they going to be good business partners for the community, and are they going to be here for a long time? You look at Manvel Town Center, which we saw the presentation a couple weeks ago for our new development, and that's one of the things that I kept asking them is, what have you seen work in City Center?
Yeah.
Because PTC, there's a lot of businesses that are not surviving there.
Yep.
And if they're not surviving there, what makes us think they're going to survive just down the road? We
Yep.
don't have the density that they have there.
Yep.
So it's all those things that come into play when we approve things just because they sound good and lower we have to consider all those things, the businesses, the investment, the people, the future, all of it.
Yeah, that's,
Again, no
those are all really good points, and
No pressure.
yeah, those are all really good points, and that's exactly why Joe said reach out to all of the developments that are building in Manvel, had asked for their most recent plans and most recent projection or EFSFCs. Everybody who could provide a concrete number did provide us one, and that those who didn't have a concrete number gave us an estimate that maybe would be growing at this percentage by the end of the 10-year period. And our team worked with Joe's very closely to calculate a number. Yes, there's a very good chance that that would not be the exact number that we would hit, but that thankfully with this calculation, it gets adjusted out.
Wonderful. Okay. I would consider, Tammy's like, don't put more work on my plate. But coming from the seat of council and sitting here with you guys, it is difficult in a 5-year period. I mean, I don't know. I'm leaning towards it's the minimum requirement every 5 years because a lot of up and coming towns are done booming, so it would make sense that they do that. But we're in a explosion of growth right now, and I think it would best suit us weighing the cost. Maybe we can bundle a twofer with you guys and the auditing company or something ahead of time, lock in today's prices like a cell phone carrier. But I say that honestly because I believe it's in the best interest of all parties if we have, like you said, certainty, not projections. Forecasts are just forecasts. And although it requires more work, it brings a level of accountability to all parties so that we grow responsibly. So, with that being said, I would be inclined to recommend to council when we present this, that this be done at least 3.5 years, maybe at the 3-year mark, to reevaluate and look at the impact fees. That would be my recommendation. I don't know what the board would say. I see some yays, nays, I don't know.
I would
I think it would.
You would?
I think it would depend on the cost for me, but I guess we can send it to council with favorable recommendation, and then they can.
And then they'll
can look at the
decide.
specifics.
Yeah.
Are the costs, if I remember, are the costs part of the fee itself?
You can use the
They
impact
are,
fees to pay
yeah.
for
Okay.
it. But that does take away from
Yeah,
infrastructure.
both.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Both the audit and the study.
How much did we pay for it?
For the audit, 35,000.
35,000.
And how much is the report for this?
Yeah.
109.
Okay.
That's like 45 houses, right?
Yeah.
Did
I would
No,
like,
no.
I would like to see,
Yeah, $35,000 at
how much,
like
how are we
$9,000
paying this
per house
based on a
at
consulting
4
fee?
houses.
Or is it being paid for by the hour?
By the
or
hour.
The
Yeah,
like
effort,
five-
or?
Yeah, we provided a proposal by the hour, and then we submit a monthly invoices with the hours that we have spent.
Who's negotiating that with you? Is it Dan Johnson?
Yes.
All right. Y'all sure y'all want me here?
I love it. I love it. I love it.
There's one more thing to keep in mind is like
The voice of reason.
the average life of a project, from conception to zoning and all of that. Sometimes it could be more than 3 years. So when they start, or depending
That
on
is true.
at
That's
what
very
point
true.
they start,
Yep.
they operate with a certain expectation, and then closer to the completion, it changes. It could be more, it could be less, and then they're in a. So there's that aspect too, where 5 is a little more reasonable number than 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
Yeah. Other thing
Okay.
to consider is whenever we do the next update, we'll again start the crystal ball for the next 10 years.
course.
So there will be some uncertainty in that portion too. The earlier part gets sorted out.
Yeah, well, hopefully our economy starts trending in a more positive direction. Hopefully AI doesn't obliterate human jobs. And hopefully things start to entice people to want to leave their homes so that they can entice businesses to come, because I don't know about you guys, but I go to stores and they're empty.
Yeah.
It's just-
Amazon has,
Yeah.
Amazon needs competition. And I think I
had a
great
quick
business
question.
ideas for that, but anyway.
Do we know what, like Pearland or Friendswood, other cities, do they do a study every 5 years, 3 years, or
Yeah.
what's
They do
common?
it around 5 years.
Okay.
I think so. Most cities do 5.
Well, I know 5's required per the state, but I didn't know if any other city around us was opting to do it more, or if you know.
I'm not aware of
It's a great
one,
question.
but we can look it up to see.
Okay. No, I was just curious.
Send some tips.
Thank you.
Well, because again, and that's the thing, that my biggest push for us to do it a little more often is because we're in that explosion of
Yeah.
growth. No one really else around us is exploding like that, with so many people wanting to come here.
Yeah, no, I meant like in the past, since we're
Yeah.
just kind of, I don't want to follow in
Yeah.
Pearland's footsteps, but it seems like we are. With a little
Ay, ay,
rural
ay.
preservation in there.
Yeah, I fight for that. Well, I did fight for, keep rural, but
Yes,
people keep selling their land, sister.
I know.
so I got another question on this slide. So you have the water on the left side, the blue, and the sewer on the right side, the green.
Yes.
And the service areas are different, which I understand. There's certain areas that can't be served sewer-wise. But as I understand it, as I look at this, the vast majority of the growth is going to be north of Highway 6, 5,000 units or ESFCs.
ESFCs.
And so then I deduced, I said, well, there's 2,000 in the area south of Highway 6, between the two. And knowing what council just acted on, and the land plan, which I absolutely love, there's a lot of rural areas in the south. Are there really going to be 2,000?
I believe South has 300 ESFCs in this calculation. There's also area on the west side of the 288 that's on water, but that's not on wastewater.
East,
side.
west Say that again, I'm sorry.
I believe in our calculation, South area has 300 ESFCs.
Oh, okay.
And then
South of Highway 6.
South of Highway 6
300
has around 300 ESFCs in the calculation.
Oh, I see.
wastewater.
So
For
south of Highway 6.
sewer.
In general, for water, because we didn't include the south area and the wastewater side.
Okay.
I know that.
But water also has area on the west side of 288, which is not included in the sewer, which is making up some of that 2,000 ESFC difference.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so it's not all from the south. There's also areas in the west in water that's not in wastewater.
Okay, I see.
So,
But that's still a lot.
well, she said they've only calculated 300 south of Highway 6. That's
Yeah.
not a lot.
No, that's not a lot. That's not. So it must be mainly to the west where the 1,700 are at?
And that's a part of it west of 288 because of the new development that's coming there. There's a lot of commercial. And then we also have Foxtail Palms, we have Rodale Palms, we have other
Okay.
single-family developments that are there. So I can
Yeah,
see that.
there's a bigger area that can be served water than the wastewater infrastructure is right now. So for example, there's no plan for a treatment facility to the south right now. So there's no way for the city to serve wastewater in the south. Or on the western side, there are muds that are taking on a lot of the wastewater facilities. Wastewater services from other muds are getting into contract. So in those cases, the city could not serve that.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
So this slide has really big numbers. That's the cost of building water and wastewater infrastructure to serve all of the growth. So we looked at the 2022 master water plan and the master wastewater plan and where the growth is happening based on this updated land use assumption, and selected the projects that will be needed to serve those growth. So looked at facilities, lines, locations separately. This is the total cost of the project. This is not all of the cost that will go in the calculation. We will take out anything that is needed to serve existing growth or existing users, take out anything that is actually in the plan to serve any growth beyond 10 years, and only include the portion that is in the 10-year period. So in the next slides, I'll show you what we ended up including in the calculation. So this is the list of all of the water eligible projects that went into the impact fee calculation. The top portion, that's orange pinkish color, are projects that are recently completed or ongoing that will have capacity to serve growth in the next 10 years. And the bottom portion in the blue are projects that has not started and would be needed to serve mostly future growth, but also will be serving some of the existing needs, because those were identified in the master plan CIP as projects that would be alleviating some of the deficiencies in the system right now, or would be able to connect to an area that is not served right now. And in the column that says 2026, the percentages that you see are basically taking that into account. What portion of that project would be serving today's users? The next column, that's 2036, is saying what portion of the same project would be serving users through the end of the 10-year period. And the following column is the delta. So that delta percentage got applied to the cost of that CIP, individual CIP project, to get to our final column, that is the impact fee eligible CIP cost. And for water, we calculated about $35 million as eligible impact fee CIP cost.
Okay, down here.
At the very, very end, yeah.
Okay, I got lost somewhere in that.
Yeah, good.
This is a cost over a 10-year period. Okay, good.
Yes, this is the cost over the 10-year period.
But what we're saying, just so, I like to walk through my thought process also because we have public that want to watch later on to go back, and so it helps people who didn't catch it.
Yeah, that's
also
absolutely
come
good.
on.
Yeah.
So that's why I ask questions the way I do. But for my understanding, or for anybody out there, so what we're saying is that, so if I'm looking at A, Manvel 1 MG estimated, right?
That's elevated storage tank.
Elevated storage, okay, gotcha. So then 2026, we are utilizing it at 35%, but it's expected to be utilized at 82%.
That's correct.
So
yes.
that's the growth over 10 years.
That's correct.
And
yes.
then 47%, so it'll go back down?
No, 47% is the difference between the two
Okay,
numbers.
so that's the difference. I didn't understand. I'm like, what is this here? So that's the difference. That's why I lost you.
Okay.
Okay,
No,
and
I'm
so
glad you
then-
asked. 82% is the cumulative.
It's a
number, yeah.
cumulative. Okay, so that's what we're estimating the capacity of that to be used by surrounding infrastructure, users, family homes.
That's right, yes.
Okay. And then that cost is 2.7 million.
Yes, the cost, so the cost of the elevated storage tank multiplied by that 47% is the 2.7 million. So the eligible cost of the actual project. The cost was somewhere around $5 million for the city.
So the actual, so we're saying that this is the cost for the project, and this is how many people, the percentage will be utilizing it. So these are actual costs, like dollars that it took to create this and to build this and improve it.
So this is the portion of the dollars of what it actually costs. So I do not remember the exact cost of the project. It's somewhere in the report, but it was around $5 million. So that's what the city has paid already to construct this elevated storage tank.
So this number here is an impact fee. So when we say it's eligible cost, what do you mean by that?
It means that portion of the cost is related to the next 10 years' growth.
Okay, so the $2.7 million here is, when you say related to the future growth, what does that mean? So who's paying for that? The infrastructure?
That will go towards the impact fee calculation.
Okay.
So the future growth will pay towards that $2.7 million.
So this is the fee, this is our assumption of the cost of this, and we're adding into the total impact fee
That is
number of
correct.
$35
Yeah,
million.
that is exactly
That's when we
correct.
came up with this, and then from that $35 million, the total amount to build the infrastructure over the next 10 years is where we do, and we work backwards to the number of how much each person pays based on their development.
That's exactly right, yeah.
Gotcha, okay.
So for here, we're showing the total CIP cost is $171 million. $35 million is the portion that is eligible for water, yeah, for water impact fee.
So I got a question, staying on that first line item.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I went back and looked at the 2021 study, the original study that started all this. And that same tank was $3.3 million total cost. Now, it also said that there was $2.2 million excluded from a GO bond. But then this, the new study shows 5.7.
Yeah.
So does that include the GO bond dollars, or did the cost go up? Because it was an ongoing project in 2021. So that tells me it was being built. So how did it go up if it was being built by 2.2 or by $2.5 million?
It was being designed. It didn't start getting built until I started here, which was after at the end of 23, 24.
Okay.
So the cost, you know how COVID increased all the cost? It increased everything else we had to construct.
So does the 5.7 include the GO bonds or no?
I don't think so. But
Yeah.
I can go back and double
Yeah.
check and let you know for sure.
Yeah, these costs that for the orange projects that are here, we got the city's actual cost expenditure for these to enter. So,
And I
yeah.
just want to be apples to apples, because the 2021 study took out 2.2 million, but this draft does not reference either way, whether it took it out or put it in. So it's unclear in the
Yeah.
study.
So, yeah. Yeah.
So just staying on the 2021, because there's some projects in the 2021 that were future that are now existing in this report, which is, I think, that's showing, that's the accountability part, the report. So I looked at cost there. Well, and there's some projects that were on the future that are no longer in the 2026 report at all. And, to a tune of, like $20 million is just gone. Now, gone in projects, right? Which means growth may not have happened in some areas, and so that's
It happened somewhere else.
denominator equation.
Yes.
But what happens when projects, because I've noticed quite a few where the cost we projected to be $1 million, and they came in at $500,000. So now what? What happens?
So, and that's exactly why we do updates every 5 years. So for these orange projects, we have more recent cost information available. So when we went into the calculation, what we requested to Rosie is, what is the city's cost? What did the city pay towards it? So bonds or anything else the developers are paying should have been already excluded from this. So this should be only the city's expenses towards that project that we're entering here. So yeah, if there's something Rosie wants to review, we can definitely check and adjust the number. But our understanding is this is what the city paid.
Okay, because I'm just like Manvel Parkway water line extension, the 21 study showed it was a 1.5 million. The update shows it truly being at $500,000. So there's $1 million less.
Yes, some of these projects, the alignment changed or the project scope changed as the construction was going on or design was going on. So this is more. At that time, I believe some of these projects would be a projected, estimated number, and now these are real numbers. And the same way, in the blue area, we have projected estimated numbers. When we do it next time, we'll have the real numbers.
So for the example I used, that $1 million difference, is that the refund, or what happens? Because the original amount was set on that $1.5 million, right?
Yeah, and we have this.
Refund amount?
Yeah. So in the same way, and kind of in the same line, there's a wastewater treatment plant in the next page. It's now $43 million. In the 2021 study, it was $26 million, because at that time, that was the cost estimation, best available cost estimation. But reality hit us very differently. So the hope is it gets balanced out, and it is likely getting balanced out with this much change, but we can only estimate what will happen next. We don't know the exact cost, so there will be some changes.
So is there any way to get just a comparison so we can see a balance out? That would be, to have that information, I think, would be helpful.
It really doesn't balance out, Matt. At the end of the day, we still don't collect enough with the growing costs, especially these last few years because of the increase in COVID.
So, and that makes, but I think that's important too, to have that information. So the city is armed, saying, look, we projected X, it's actually Y, here's the delta, right? I think, but it's, you have to spend hours to discern that.
Really, we have AI now. I'm both in there designated.
Not for these kind of things, we don't
not
use
that.
AI.
We can put in actual costs from our budgets, right? And there's ways for auditors to do that. And I think that if we're going to be accountable and we're going to show projections so that we can allocate impact fees, I think it would be prudent of us to show that difference and say, this is what we projected and here's the reality. Because in some it's going to be under and some it's going to be higher. And that should balance out. And it doesn't always balance out, because such is life and business. However, I think it's good for information purposes, because we can't make decisions without good data.
No,
Or we
that's,
make bad decisions.
yeah. And then there is a refund provision in the impact fee, and that applies where the city has collected more fees than they are spending towards project. The fees that the city is collecting for impact fees, those have to be spent within 10 years on impact fee eligible projects. So based on what we're looking at the fund balance, the city has not collected enough impact fees to be able to do the projects that are already in the CIP. So it's very unlikely the city would be in a refund situation.
I do remember that.
Yeah, so in that particular case, this revised study addresses that and increases those fees to cover, those shortages, right?
So we can only cover things with the new fees for anything looking forward. What is lost is lost, really.
Okay. Okay. And
City has to make up for it in another way, whether it's increasing rates or going out for grants, any way we can cover that.
got it. Okay. So these numbers are really, really critical to, which that leads me to the other point. I see a lot of estimates, just simple estimates, and I get that. There's a lot of work here, and I number one, I applaud you. I mean, there's a lot here. There's a lot of moving pieces and parts. How do we get better estimates? Since this is so critical. I mean, literally, like I saw for the wastewater plant, a $50 million plant, there's like 3 line items for an estimate. And I get it. I mean, it's just rough numbers. But is there any way, because for $50 million, I'm thinking $50 million for a sewer plant, there's a lot of different options that you can look at. And ideally, you get that cost down as much as possible. But you got a lot of things to do with this study, right? So how do we nail down, how do we refine these costs?
Yeah. So the costs that we have here, I completely hear you. The costs that we have here are planning level estimates. So they would be a little bit of a higher level. And then that's why we have contingencies applied to it as well. And we're looking at what overall treatment plant cost is in this area, and what would be the dollars per gallon based on that cost, and comparing different treatment plants and coming up with the average number to apply here, because we don't want to be too conservative either, because that will affect the impact fees too. But you don't want to come too under, then you're not collecting enough money. So, and for the planning level, that's the estimate that we can apply. As you go into design, that you will have better cost estimate, because they will look at specifically what you need in this area. Do you need to get more easement? What is that easement going to cost in this particular area? How many utilities are underground? So it goes into a lot more detail when you go into the design phase, and you can get a better estimate, which is why the orange is a much better update, because those have looked at everything already, which we are not able to look at a planning level if we're looking at the next 10 years.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, but I wish we could do that. That would be wonderful.
And I understand. I mean, I just worry that sometimes and this is why I said to you earlier, the land use and the velocity as well as the cost. If you are conservative on the land use and you're conservative on the cost, all of a sudden you have a huge impact fee that is, it's exponential. On some of this we have 30% contingency, which, I get. I mean, but some of it we have 20. But as you add layers of conservatism into it, how much is too much, right? And then do the fees become out of whack, right? Mm-hmm. So that, maybe that's just a statement.
Yeah, and I don't know how to respond to that, honestly, Matt. Even the level of conservatism that you're talking about, there are factors that limit it. Like, for example, the future land use plan in terms of land use, the current rate of stuff, like the historical population trend, all of that play a role a little bit. Now, I guess the only way to nail it would be when we have time travel option. I guess that's the only way.
Fair enough.
Yeah, maybe crystal ball. So it's very difficult.
Yeah,
so
it is.
Even if we go real scientific on it and do multiple factors, involve AI, we get a number. Still, there's no guarantee that what's going to happen is going to be very close to it. It could change.
I
So
agree.
all of that exercise, I guess, I don't know how much.
Yeah, no, I
benefit is
agree. And some of this, there's some big dollars here, like the wastewater plant. When I saw that number, I was freaking out. I said, we just did a plant in Manvel, or we're expanding the plant in Manvel, and we're nowhere near the cost of what's projected. I mean, we're a third of the cost. So I'm trying to so it's like $50 million. Oh my goodness, and it's through the mud, so it's publicly bid. So I'm trying, I want to make sure that, there's no shortfall. But at the same time, the other side of that is we're not, the HEBs of the world are not passing us by either. So I'm just asking the tough question.
I appreciate your perspective.
Yeah, I appreciate, thank you for the questions. Going to the same, this table is basically the same but for wastewater projects. And then because we're looking at different area, we're looking at different growth, we're looking at different number of projects too, and then there's treatment plants. The total eligible, 10-year eligible impact fee cost for wastewater is $48 million to serve the growth in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
It's a lot, yeah. Then I had it here to do a refresher on the equation, but I think we have looked at this enough, so I'll pass it by. So this is the table that we were working towards. All of the work went in here. The first row is we're putting in the calculated impact fee eligible cost. And additionally, as Texas Local Government Code allows including a financing cost, there are some projects, as you can see, that are really expensive. And then we talked to Rosie and Joe's about it. And those projects, we are assuming that there would be some form of financing for city to be able to pay for that. So the financing cost for that is calculated and included here. And the total eligible cost. And then there comes the rate credit analysis. So that is to ensure that there's no double counting. So the portion of these same project costs that will come from rates, because new development is coming in, those new houses are also going to pay water, wastewater rates. That portion of the cost payments that will come from rates, it's taken out. So people are not paying it with impact fees and also with rates. So that is removed, and this is the portion I was talking about earlier, that in the previous study, there was a 50% reduction, because that's also an acceptable method. And that is a pretty significant number compared to if you actually do the calculation. So that is removed, and then that total dollar gets divided by the total growth in service unit equivalents, and that's how the maximum allowable fee is calculated. And again, this is maximum allowable. Council will choose what actually gets collected, really.
So is the assumption that most of this will be financed up front? Is that the thinking?
Only the larger projects, such as the surface water collection line, the treatment plant, those are what we're assuming as would be financed. For the other projects, in talking to Rosie, the goal is the impact fees will fund that project, so those will come from the impact fee revenue, and therefore no additional financing cost is included for that.
Is the $5,458, is that for one unit?
For one unit,
So
yes.
that's what's currently the $2,441? Mm-hmm. Correct.
Yeah.
So then this 19,000,
Is what is 7,200.
For 1 unit.
So, yeah, the reason I'm mentioning the 50% credit is before we had applied the 50% in the 2021, the total number was around 20,000 total. And this is around 25. So the cost of things have gone up. It's understandable it went up. But because of the change in methodology, the difference looks so much more.
so this is just the maximum. So
This is just the maximum.
Is that
mhm.
something we determine, like, no.
Council does.
You can
So we
recommend.
Recommend, yeah, I know we don't determine anything, but I mean, we
We will
recommend
decide.
staying or increasing or something, but this, you're saying this is the maximum. We-
That's exactly right, yeah.
Got it,
So this is how that table looks like if the maximum allowable is applied to all of the meter sizes. And this is the maximum for each of these meter sizes as calculated. Council can choose any number for any of these meters below this maximum allowable. So it doesn't have to be all reduced equally. It could be different numbers chosen for different meter sizes. Like it's all the study is doing is calculating the maximum allowable.
But a 3/4 meter would be for like a normal, single-family home. Okay.
Yeah.
Then we would have to balance and take what the maximum is allowed versus what the actual projections are, and then come up with the safe number there, because to just go with the maximum, I don't think is responsible either
Right.
for that side. If we're just saying, well, this is a maximum, let's just adopt that. I think we need to be a little more
Yeah.
responsible with that to see, okay, if we were to go with the maximum number, then at what point is there overage? And if there is overage, where does that go? Or if we're just enough to where the exact cost is, to where we're covering our needs and not gouging our future partners, but also protecting
Yeah.
the ratepayers. That's the interesting question. How would we do that? How do we see what that, no, I'm sorry. That's why they pay you the big bucks, because you have these numbers. I see the value. I see your value going up every second here.
I need to tell Dan about that, actually.
I'll tell that. Don't worry, I'll have the conversation.
No, those are the $1 million questions,
They
really,
are?
yeah.
Because if this is the maximum, this is the most we can go, okay, fine. It would be easier for council to just say, let's just adopt that. But the right thing to do would be to come up with a fair, just calculation that serves everyone.
So anything that's lower than the maximum, so this is the calculated maximum to if all of that impact fee eligible project cost is coming from impact fees.
Okay.
If you select a impact fee amount, or council selects an impact fee amount that is lower than that, the difference is coming from the next rate increase.
Oh,
Gotcha. From the rate, because that's where you pick up the difference. So this is what we have to project then, is this maximum? And if we don't go with the maximum, you're saying that the difference is picked up by the
well, I
ratepayers.
think that's what,
So then,
Yeah.
okay, so what I said earlier is not correct.
I think, well,
Wait, that assumes that all of the growth that you're projecting occurs and all the projects that you're projecting are built at the price that you're projecting, right?
Over the
And
next-
which,
Yeah.
which, looking at 2021, 20 million of the projects weren't built or started, or they've gone off the list. So there are, and that was on a budget of 32 million. So that.
Collected about 4 million worth.
No, yeah, you only collect about 4, but, so that's the trade, so there's, the 10-year projection, this crystal ball is very, very, very hard. You're not in an easy spot at all. You're not in an easy spot, Rosie. It's extremely difficult. And to just base it off of that final number is incredibly difficult for the county. It puts them in a spot. It's untenable. Because you're trying to balance quality growth with
so
existing.
who does it affect if we go the maximum? Who's harmed by that?
So if you go with the maximum, the new development that is coming in would be paying that.
So it hurts developers,
Yeah.
which
So-
which would include like commercial and commercial, residential, and everyone trying to come in.
Can
So
I-
it's yeah.
That's a great question. That leads me to want to say, are these rates comparable to other cities, and are they seeing substantial growth? Where do we land with what's
There was
acceptable?
There's a slide.
Yeah, there was a
There's a
slide
slide?
for that.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, where was that? I don't think we have it in our.
That is a perfect segue to this slide. So this is how
Oh,
this,
Max allowable?
the max allowable number is comparing to what other cities have adopted. So please note that these are not at all of them are not max allowable. Some has adopted lower than max allowable, some has adopted max allowable, some have done the 50%, some have done a credit analysis. So there's a difference in there. And then you had a very good point in your question to how the growth compares. Like, as you can see, Falsher's max allowable, Falsher adopted max
that's a
allowable.
good one.
And it is a
Falsher's a-
pretty high number, and they are in like a growth trajectory. But then Friendswood is pretty built out. So they don't have a lot of future projects that are coming up that are related to growth. They may have a big CIP, but it would not be impact fee eligible because a lot of that is maintenance or improving infrastructure for existing users. So theirs is smaller.
So what you're saying is that Fulshire has the maximum allowable, and yet they still exploded.
That's right.
Doesn't help your case, Matt.
No, it doesn't.
And my
but
brother
here's-
just moved out there to a
not-
new development.
Wow.
So,
But I will
pretty
say
good out
this, there is.
Do you guys have developments in Fulshire?
No.
Or do y'all know anyone over there?
Absolutely. And there's specific issues within Fulshire.
And I would like to get more information on that, because that
Specifically-
helps us decide.
They have sewer issues in Fulshire.
They do.
And look at, I mean, the green bar
Okay,
summarizes
but they
it.
have sewer issues, which means, and they've maxed it out, so where was that drop?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
So let me,
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just curious because my brother moved to Fulshire because this tax rate is super low. I can't remember the exact number, but I want to say it's like 2.4 in a brand new development. And he, that's what they wanted to do.
Well,
but
that's what,
it.
where our county has failed, and someone needs to do
So-
something. That's something out of our control, the tax rate, but,
As far as the city tax rate versus theirs,
yeah.
you gotta remember, Fulshere's probably already commercially developed.
That, yeah.
100%. So the sales tax helps bring it down, where Manvel, we're barely starting
With the
there.
commercial.
And that's-
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
And-
yeah, yeah.
And that's where, that's where I was focused on commercial. Commercial does not use 3/4 inch meters. Joe's, tell me if I'm wrong.
No.
They do not. MD Anderson,
use 2 and
that's in the
6.
news. I'm guessing they're approaching the 10-inch meter.
Well, yeah, didn't they say 5 homes for like one?
So that, you're going back to the
Small
chart,
shopping
10-inch
center.
meter, $5.5 million.
They've got it.
They
But
charge us on those medical
That's
bills.
the kind of thing that, commercial-wise, this chart, residential-wise, it's not as profound as commercial. This affects commercial growth more than anything. To write these big checks, these guys are already fighting against Amazons
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
it is not you want more restaurants? Restaurants are doing 2-inch meters. It's a tough go.
And that's a fact. Our community, our citizens have time and time again complained about the, fast chains that are coming and truly want sit-down dining. They want things to serve where we can actually live and experience life here, entertain here, eat here, all the things here, play soccer here, all that. And so we're sitting in a position to where we want to do what's right. We want to balance, but I always ask this, who else has this concept worked with? What worked, what didn't? Because we have to look at other people's experiences and utilize that data and then factor in what we need to move forward with. So,
Well, look at Dayton. Dayton's kind of, I feel like, similar to Manvel. It's
Let me
kind of
see.
exploded over the past few years. I don't know how they compare commercial-wise.
Dayton is growing, but they have huge infrastructure problems right now. Dayton, I know for a fact, a lot of the growth is coming, not so much in the city, but a lot of it in this outside of the city, in the
Yeah.
county. It is blowing up. I don't know, where is it with Manvel? Oh,
It's right
Manvel's-
next to Manvel. It's just a small increase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I know
that's why
Da-
I was wondering, like,
Yeah,
has a lot of-
Dayton is in the process of updating their impact fees. It is going up. They're phasing it, but the mayor max allowable is going up by 16. They're going up to 16,000, around 16,000 from 11, and
oh, okay.
yeah, and then they did the 50% credit.
Just to
So
make it easy without having to do the math.
So one thing I would suggest is who does Manvel compete with? And I don't know that, that answer, or who does Manvel, you from a commercial standpoint, because I don't think they compete with New Braunfels. I don't even know where Crum is, or Georgetown. Let's put cities on here that actually Manvel would like to steal quality development from.
I don't know if I would use this term steal. I would use more of what's working and
Admire.
Okay.
what is working somewhere else that we want to also work here.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't want us to experiment with things that don't work.
Agree.
So if I do like your point of like, there's a few of these cities we can't look at,
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
but our
Sugarland's
closest
not
neighbor
on
is
here.
Pearland. And I think they're a great example of what hasn't worked and what might work.
And I also think I don't take the I'm
And
not I
Alvin.
don't mean to, but Iowa Colonies, they have a lot of growth along 288.
And you have a lot of experience with Iowa Colony, so what are they doing? They're not on here. Do we know what Iowa Colony is doing with their impact fees?
They have
Or are they
impact
just
fees.
bringing everybody and everybody? Any and everybody, come on.
They have yeah. Yeah. But they do have impact fees in place. I don't know what they are. But that is like Pearland,
And your point about who do we want? Do we want, we don't want multifamily. If
Yeah.
Iowa Colony wants multifamily, God bless you.
yeah, have at it.
If they want those certain businesses that our residents have fought to not have here, fine.
Yeah.
But we do want to fight for the tax,
Yeah.
the businesses that accrue tax, the sales tax, so that it relieves the stress on our residents. So that's where my brain goes to, okay, so let's start to think of what type of businesses do we want here? Maybe a water park. Heck no, not with these fees, they won't come. I think somewhere manager Dan said Great Wolf Lodge or something. Anyway, I'm just trying to look at this from the eyes of, to your point, we want to attract good businesses. What type are we going to attract? And if we limit them, I don't want businesses to come here that, number one, don't want to invest in Manvel because they look at this as a scare tactic. If they're a quality business, they can afford it, and they can be here and be a good partner, then I think there's a way to look at the numbers to say, okay, let's do something that doesn't compromise the growth of the city, but also is fair to attract quality developers, right?
Yeah,
It's a disc
yeah.
method.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly it.
You don't want to just give it away for free.
Yep.
You want to add value and make it a good price, but also attract quality.
Might I remind you that our shopping center does not collect impact fees? We do not charge.
And that was a deal that was made a long time ago that
With the
has yet
developer.
paid. Exactly.
So that's one of our biggest commercial pieces, right? Actually, it is the
It
biggest
is the
commercial
biggest.
piece right
So
now.
we've
that we
learned our
have.
lesson from that.
But why did they,
That
that's
whole-
part of the data point
Wow.
of why they came, right? I'm just throwing that, I don't know, that's not all of
Mm-hmm.
it, but that is important. Think of all the meters, all the connections that are happening there. That, there's a lot, but that, so it factors in.
But there's still agreements where, unfortunately, for the resident, we won't see the realization of that for, you talk 20 years, I'll be in my 60s, like, that's how I look at it, I'm like, I'll be retired. But those are things, probably not, but anyway, the point of that being is that when we make these agreements, I like to have the mindset of how does it benefit all parties and not put anyone under the bus. Right? Especially the residents or the future residents that want to call Manvel home.
Yep.
That's what matters to me. And I think that we have to look at this, obviously, like from your perspective, which is why I love that you're on here, because you're seeing it from that point of view, But at the end of the day, it's all good and dandy, but if we're not collecting anything, then it's impacting our traffic, it's impacting our, and who's paying for that?
Yeah.
The residents somehow or another are paying for it.
Yep.
Well, and then if it costs more than we collect, then it goes to the pay, you know.
Yeah,
Yep,
it's all
absolutely.
taxpayer money.
Yeah, we don't want it to,
It's all taxpayer money unless
don't want it to do
somebody
that.
wants to write us a nice little grant, you know, to build stuff, then it's different. Okey dokey.
So just
All
that.
right, this is fun.
That's the end of the calculation and numbers.
Thank you.
Sure.
I think we combined our A and B.
Then this part is what is next. So the financial audit has already been, a report has been public, and then today we had a discussion on the land use assumption, CIP, and the impact fees. The next steps have very methodic required amount of wait period. So the report that we have, once we get your comments, and if there's anything that you, like Rosie wants to check and we update, we'll finalize the report, and then the report will go into the public display for 60 days. And then the city would advertise for public hearing that will at least 30 days before the public hearing happens. And then there will be a public hearing. And before the public hearing, there's also going to be a financial audit public hearing, the one that Justin was talking about earlier. And after the council has had time to think about, get all that information, get your recommendations, and decide on what the impact fee is, we're looking at October is probably when it will get adopted.
Okay, so council will be ready, it'll be on the agenda for adoption, and that will be right after council adopts budget.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm sure this is gonna be a big part of that presentation. All right, I'll make my voice heard. Okay,
All right, so on B, we have discussion and possible action on which we've done plenty of discussion. Do we need to, there's no motion to be made for this, right? Or is there
Action.
something we need to forward to?
we have to decide what
Possible
the,
action.
yeah,
But
we have
do
to,
we-
yeah, but we have to decide what we recommend to council. Do we want to go with the maximum? And I don't feel comfortable with the data that I have to make that recommendation.
I think what you
So
suggested earlier was a good, like a good middle ground. I don't know how you come up with a formula of
How to,
sorts,
exactly.
but-
How would we do that if we needed time to look at those numbers to then advise on what council, we present to them and say, hey, here's what we did, we advised this, and then council run with it and decide what? Because would we have to have another meeting like this, or?
So you would, by the law, you have to provide your written comments to council 5 business days before the public hearing. So you have time until September to decide what you want to provide as your recommendation.
So 5 days before September
8.
Okay.
August 2nd.
5 business days, yes.
So July 25th?
Are we responsible for coming up with an exact dollar amount, or do we give like a range and reasons and thoughts on
I think a
percentage? or-
percentage is good.
Yeah, I think that's up to you, what y'all decide on. And then usually, as the advisory committee, you provide one letter with all of your comments combined, but if you have different comments, you can also provide different letters. But anything that you're providing has to go to council in writing 5 business days before the public hearing.
I think in the past, we've always, combined the comments in one letter, and we've all signed it, right?
The chair
Oh,
has to
really?
do it.
Oh, okay. Ah, gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
So do we send, like, if we have, we send them to the chair? Are you the chair?
Today, I don't know if that's, I was voluntold.
I volunteer you to be the chair. Let's vote on it.
So how will we, Tammy?
Yeah, how does it work?
So there's a couple different ways. I would think the easiest way would be individually, if you look through the information that you've been sent, there's a link with the documents on the website as well as what I've printed for you. And the big report, that's 130 some odd pages.
Oh, yes.
Go through and look at that. Send me your thoughts via email, just me, not the whole board, because we don't want a private meeting. And then I can compile all of those. We'll schedule another meeting so you guys can, I'll send it out as a group, you guys can see it, and then come back together and discuss those ideas as a group, and then take action to send some recommendation to the council based off that meeting.
And the
If that works, I think
recommendation to
that'd be the
council
easiest.
will be when? What date would that be?
September?
October, right? They have to decide on October?
I think we would have to meet in September.
September 1st.
Okay, September 1st. So we would have to meet and decide what is presented to council in August.
Yes, before, yeah, anytime before that.
September 1st.
Mhm.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, you can, if you decide tomorrow, that also applies.
Okay. Okay.
And thoughts and any questions as well, if you need any specific thing for us to research outside of what we discussed.
Okay, great.
We can try to do that. take
Yeah,
care of.
so if we have questions or comments on the report, would you, is your report final, or would you change it?
So that's a really good question, and our report currently is draft,
Okay.
but we do have to finalize it to go into public display on June 1st. So
So it's going to be final.
yes, so if we make changes, we would have to just restart the public display process again.
But then as we weigh in on, and I'm sure as council weighs in, you can change your report based on that, right?
If we change the report significantly, we should have to restart the display process, which is a 60-day
What
display.
happens is the report does not get changed. The ordinance that we put in for the amount of the
Impact
impact
fee.
fees is the one.
Yeah. Yes. So on the report, like if you have any questions on like one thing that Rosie was going to check, if it's a correctness that we need to shore up, we would definitely want to do that before June 1st. The report is only calculating maximum allowable. What council decides is a policy or your recommendation. The collection rate may be different, but this is like the math.
Okay.
All right, so are we able to move on to the roadway impact fee, or do we need to do an action? I don't think so, right?
I don't think there's an action.
Okay, all right, so we'll move on to receive the update and final comments to the impact fee eligible capital improvement plans for the roadway system. And Tammy just gave us this new.
Is it on? Okay.
I like how you run the meeting. You do a great job.
Oh, you're so sweet, thank you. I appreciate that.
Boom, boom, boom.
I try.
You're making it just.
Oh, he's putting in, okay. Yeah. It's the really short one. It's a PDF. Yes. As you heard, this one is a really short one.
She's looking at me like a dare ask question. Yeah. I got questions, though.
Ashita, I have the report. Is your presentation the same as the report? Or-
No, this is only the change that we had to do for the thoroughfare plan. So it's a 4-page, four slides.
I don't know that I had that one.
Oh, we got a big old packet.
Did you
Land assumptions.
forward the email again to
For
me?
roadway impact fees?
Yeah, I sent it. It'll be last week.
And this has a lot of definition. Well, no, it has
Yeah,
data.
it has some stuff.
I like having the different perspectives, because usually it's like, you have to consider everyone, and no one is ever here to voice that side.
Yeah, no,
Right,
I
yeah.
think it's good. I mean, everybody has a different approach, right?
Right.
And so,
But this is good because you never see that in council. You don't
Yeah.
get to see the,
yeah.
and most, People don't know what to ask.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
5-minute
yeah,
break?
Absolutely.
5-minute break, thank you.
Okay, we'll take a recess. We'll call for a recess. Yes.
Judge Judy.
Wait.
Oh, yeah, you got to hit it hard.
All right, we're going to resume our meeting at 8:01. Oh,
I go start?
both of them? Yeah, those are both my girls.
Okay. So this is not the water wastewater. This is for the roadway impact fee. Our Friesen and another Friesen Nichols team is working on the roadway impact fee, and I'm standing in today to give the update on behalf of them. So the roadway impact fee is new for Manvel. You all never had a roadway impact fee. There's nothing to audit right now. This study is developing what roadway impact fee would look like for Manvel, the maximum allowable. Again, maximum allowable, council will choose what is to be adopted. Because this is a new program, this goes with additional steps. So for water wastewater, we're doing the land use CIP impact fee discussion together. On roadway, land use and CIP discussion has to happen first, completely closed, and then the impact fee calculation needs to happen. So this part for roadway where y'all are at now is the land use and CIP process. Today, we're coming in only with some amended information. So in October of last year, the advisory committee meeting for the land use and CIP happened already, and the advisory committee had provided the letter of recommendation to council for the land use and CIP. Since then, like right before the public hearing for the roadway, land use and CIP was about to happen, the city adopted the new thoroughfare plan. And that thoroughfare plan had changes to, changes to a couple projects that were in the roadway CIP. So to do due diligence and have complete transparency, we're coming in and talking about what is changed, and then that roadway report is again getting advertised for the required number of period, and the public hearings getting moved to, so we can talk about these changes, and then you can provide a revised letter saying that you have received and reviewed these changes. So the change, I'll go through what the changes are. So there are two projects. Actually, let me go back a little bit. I think we have a couple new members, so I'll give you a little more context on this. So roadway, unlike water wastewater, have to have a limited service area. So water wastewater can be whole city limits. For roadway, service areas only have to be bound by a 6-mile radius. So that's why the city is broken down into 4 different service areas. The leftmost one is number 1, blue is 2, the eastern side is 3, and the southern one is 4. The 2 projects that got modified in the thoroughfare plan are in 2 and 3. So those are the only 2 service areas that got affected by this change. The first project, the northern one, is a roadway around Del Bello Boulevard. The only change was an alignment. So we updated the maps. The alignment didn't really change the overall capacity of the roadway, so no change was really happening in the service area 2. For the second one, which is in the bottom of this figure, unfortunately the laser doesn't work on the screen. Oh. There you go. So the bottom line, if you can see, the left image is the old thoroughfare plan. The image to the right is the new thoroughfare plan. There's a segment of the road that went away. Per the regulations, if it's a collector or arterial road, that can be included in the impact fee calculations. So because that line went away, we removed it from the impact fee CIP. So those are the only 2 changes. And this is an updated table with the changes. So the top table is showing the old table. The bottom is showing the updated table. If you look at the row number 3, that's where the change actually happened. Because that one road went away, the capacity reduced in the service area 3. And this is another table that was included in the roadway report. The top table, again, is the old bottom table is new. So now the capacity has reduced because of the one line going away, but the growth hasn't changed. So the percentage was 87% as eligible. It changed to 96%. Yeah, because we are dividing the column E with column F. Column F didn't.
It's not.
Okay.
So basically, you have the same amount of growth, but you have lower capacity in the overall CIP. So more of the CIP is getting used to serve that same growth. Yeah, so that is the only change that this change in thoroughfare plan has triggered.
I remember us debating on changing this specifically.
Yeah. So that is really it. That was the update. And if you have any questions that you want to discuss, Tammy has a reference letter again for y'all to review and sign and to submit to council for this.
As far as this part of it.
That seemed pretty straightforward.
yeah.
Yeah.
How does this report factor into all of that?
Yeah, that report is the full land use and CIP report.
Oh, that.
So are you, the letter, is that signing off on this report or signing off on just those changes?
A letter has already been provided by the advisory committee signing off on the report. So this new letter is to sign off on the amendment.
Two changes.
Yeah.
Just the changes, okay. So the comment period for the report is come and go?
There's a public hearing happening for the report next.
And the public hearing is still open. I guess once we get the letter finalized, it'll take it to the council, and then the public hearing gets closed, and then we move forward.
Okay. So does it ever come back to this body or this committee, or no? 5 years.
There will be another
Hopefully 3.
roadway discussion with your team, and that's with the impact fee calculation. Because it's a two-step.
Yeah. So like Ishita mentioned, since this is the first time, it's a two-step. We finalize the land use assumption and CIP, and then the rate comes at a later stage. And I think we'll get the report soon, we'll review it and get with y'all to schedule the meeting.
Right. Yeah, so the discussion that we have on water, wastewater, that's not part of the report that you already have. That is coming next.
Okay. Yeah, because all right, so I'm fine now. I guess I'll save
sure?
questions for later.
You sure?
Because it's like, oh my goodness.
So you dissected
I
it.
have questions on this, but it's not appropriate now, it sounds
Well,
like.
and I
Are
don't
we
think
allowed to
we-
communicate, or is this considered a quorum?
As long as there's not 4 people,
Okay.
right?
Correct, but you want to be mindful of daisy chains.
Yeah.
So my suggestion would
You
be.
know I don't talk to anybody.
Send it via email to the staff. I'm going to send you all an email with all the data, with all the information that you've been given this evening. I'm going to put the staff on there that you can reply to all. You will not be replying to each other.
Okay.
But all of us will see it. And then as things get gathered, we can share that with y'all, as well as get that next meeting scheduled to bring y'all back together.
Yeah.
Once everybody knows what their questions were and all of that.
Okay,
So I would
dokie.
suggest you not.
Okay. Just to be
because, yeah.
careful.
Sounds good. All right.
It's a suggestion. It's a suggestion. But I admire, thank you for your suggestion. Okay. It's just to protect,
So
the city and make sure we
have
don't
an
do the
action
same.
item on that either, so I guess our next action item is adjourn? No, we do?
The action to amend the letter. The letter
Oh,
was
so
already
we approve.
approved.
Okay.
It's just these few changes in the updated letter.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the amendment to the letter recommendation incorporating the changes to the roadway impact fee?
I'll make the motion to approve what you said.
Do I have a second?
I get to speak. Second.
All those in favor? Okay, everyone approves.
Before you adjourn,
Oh, yes?
is there a day of the week, either a Tuesday, a Thursday, or a Wednesday? Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, that works best for, we pulled a meeting together, we ended up without a quorum, went back and forth with lots of different correspondences. So we're definitely going to have another meeting. Is there a day that works the best? Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, or do you guys have a preference?
Next one would be in August?
I would say you maybe do it in July, because if you guys don't get it hashed out,
Oh, that's true.
then you're going to need another one.
I will be out of town July 9th through the 16th. That's my only commitment at this time.
Okay.
Maybe the week of July the 20th?
July 20th?
The week of July the 20th, so it could be the 21st, 22nd, or 23rd.
As of now, as of today, I can agree to that. But things.
Yeah,
change.
it's,
Yeah, I can do the 22nd, 23rd, and then and possibly the 24th. I'm out of the country after that.
I could do the 23rd. I could do 22nd or 23rd as of right now, of course.
Me too, 22nd or 23rd.
Okay.
I can't do either one.
He can't do either one.
That's okay. Jules can handle it.
Oh,
You're gonna be at the World Cup?
Well, Dynamo is one of them, and then San Antonio for the next night,
oh, wow.
or concert.
I will probably go with the 23rd, so that way, if the city manager's available, he can be here as well. I know his Wednesdays are already committed. So Thursday the 23rd, I'll include that in the email I'm going to send out to everybody tomorrow.
Perfect.
I was just looking at, I was in the wrong month, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Can we do the 22nd? I'm sorry.
okay. If everybody can be here on the 22nd, we'll make it work.
We'll make it work.
Yeah, y'all are the ones that have to have a quorum, so we'll make it work.
Okay, so the 22nd, I'm good with the 22nd.
I'm good.
I'm good as of
Thank you for
this moment.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Okay, so our last item is adjourn. All those in favor?